When we decided on this theme for our retreat, we do this in a group, in a committee, a retreat committee. And our discussion always involves something like, we want this to really be relevant. We want this to have meaning for us in our contemporary life. And Anne, I think, was the one who suggested that we dedicate this retreat to the Heart Sutra, since the Heart Sutra is the center of Zen practice. In fact, it is continuously chanted around the world, 24 hours. Somewhere, somehow, some group, some sangha, some community is reciting, is chanting the Heart Sutra. And we're part of that. We just did that. So I'm going to read the description of the retreat here, just as a reminder of why you all said, I guess I'll go to that. The Heart Sutra as the ground for being. The ground for being. Avalokiteshvara, who helps all to awaken, moves in the deep course of realizing wisdom beyond wisdom, sees that all 5 streams of body, heart, and mind are without boundary, and frees all from anguish. This was very important to me as I was caring for Steve in his last months. Frees all from anguish really meant a lot to me. Was that really possible, knowing that there was only one direction we were going in his care in his life? The Heart Sutra, Prajnaparamita Hardaya, is often called the beating heart of Zen Buddhism. It is not simply a philosophical text. It offers a foundation for Zen practice by addressing several core tenets of Buddhism, including insight, wisdom rising through direct experience, emptiness, the boundless freedom of reality, non-duality, the realization of this freedom, non-attachment, the embodiment of this realization. By stripping away our habitual reliance on the senses and the intellect, the Heart Sutra opens us to a deeper truth, freeing us from fear, longing, and aversion. Freeing us from fear, longing, and aversion. The human condition, isn't it? That there's something more for us than the human condition, than the tangles that we get into, that we witness. It tells the practitioner, that's us, that there is nothing to gain and nowhere to go. That's downright un-American. You know? Nothing to gain and nowhere to go. Then what are we doing here? You know? Only a reality to be awakened to. Exactly as it is. And this awakening is liberation. So if we're not tangled in our human condition, in what catches us and what we get caught in, what else is there? There's awakening. Awakening to the truth. And that's what the Dharma is. But liberation for its own sake misses the point. It is important to remember who the subject of the sutra is, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. It is Avalokiteshvara who practices, sees, and offers the teaching. Compassion acts as the ground of being, the heart of the Heart Sutra. And the wisdom that arises there is never passive. Sometimes we Buddhists get criticized for being passive. You're just sitting there. I was with a group of young men yesterday, just learning to meditate, and we were talking with them about how meditation was going to change their lives. And they kind of looked like, oh, except they really needed their lives to change because they had been in some big trouble. And so I said to them, we're just going to sit here and we're going to guide you in breathing and going to guide you in body scanning and we're going to guide you in paying attention and your lives will change. And they bought it. They bought it. They thought anything was better than the trouble they were in. But because they had just 15 minutes of that experience, they felt differently in their bodies. And so that direct experience, wisdom rises through direct experience. It doesn't take much for us to know this, for us to get this. Our action is no longer driven by fear or grasping, but arises as a natural response to what is. We meet each other. We are faced with what is. We meet life, whether we like it or not, we're faced with what is. Our actions then can be decided based on that. So we're going to explore our own beating heart and the beating hearts of each other surrounding us and the beating hearts all around the world. And how the Heart Sutra and the Buddhist path invite us not away from the world, but more fully into it. I think Flint has said to us every retreat that we don't retreat to come away from the world. We retreat from all the ways that we distract ourselves, all the ways we try to get away from what is, so that we can see who we really are and see who the other really is. So this is the invitation. Actually, when I was thinking about what I was going to say this evening, that Mission Impossible line, if you should accept this, here's the mission if you should accept it. Well, this is the invitation if you want to accept it. And it's not just in one moment, it's in every moment, isn't it? It's in every moment.
The invitation in every moment. Oh. Hint that I may be too quiet. You know, you and I wrote that description some time ago,
Mhm.
and the line that is catching me, can you hand it to me instead? And the wisdom that arises there is never passive. You know, we sit down and we stand back up. And we sit down and we stand back up. Um, on Sunday, Kathy offered the Dharma, and she offered a talk about confusion, and in particular, confusion as seen through the eyes of her 5-month-old granddaughter, and just the pure potential that actually lies in that kind of not knowing, that moment of not knowing. And during the discussion after the talk, you made a comment, Kathy, and it it has really stuck with me. You said that you've been thinking about what realization is, and you said you think it's two things. You said, first, I think it is like a body sensation, the body knowing. It's like a sensation or an understanding that goes beyond our mind. And that I expected. But then you said that the second part of what realization is something like this. And you put your arms out. And I think that line, that it's never passive, somehow has to do with this. And I don't know if this is giving or if this is receiving. And my sense is it's both. My sense is it's both. What it felt like to me was sort of this energy that comes through true realization is an energy of communion.
Is it communion?
Communion. Yeah. Yeah. Becoming much, much larger than the ideas we have about who we are. Kind of like you were saying, the opportunity to step away from our conditioned ideas of ourselves. And I think the Heart Sutra is a vessel. It truly is a vessel to begin to sense, to realize the truth of who we are. I heard a saying recently and it made me smile, and I've been saying it to myself. It's, I greet her the days I meet her and bless when I understand. Because it's pretty rare, actually, friends. It's actually pretty rare. It made me think in a certain way, like the vastness that the Heart Sutra gives us this glimpse towards, like of what this really is, this life and who we are in this incredible web of interconnection. Yeah, it is such a blessing to be able to come close to it. And in a sense, I was thinking our last retreat theme was becoming yourself. And I think that's kind of this retreat theme too, in a certain way. It's in a way touching the truth of what this life is. So I thought I would share a little bit about the history to ground us. And it's kind of interesting, I'll say. I did not know the history of the Heart Sutra. And I'll also say that I read different things in different places. So take it with a grain of salt to some degree. But how did this teaching come to us? And in some ways, I think I read different things in different places because it's not actually completely known where the Heart Sutra originated. But the Heart Sutra that we are reading is a part of a larger body of sutras, of Prajnaparamita Sutras, which is a group of Mahayana scriptures focused on shunyata, or the emptiness teachings. And there are approximately, from what I read, 38 Prajnaparamita Sutras. And those texts began to appear in India in about 100 to 200 BC. So a long, long time ago. But to give some context, that's a few hundred years after the Buddha lived. So that's when these texts started to emerge. So they range from extremely long. So there is the 100,000 line version of the Heart Sutra. That's the longest one, I think. And then there's the 25,000 line version, the 18,000 line version, the 8,000 line version, the 700 line version, the 300 line version. So they just go down, 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 down. This one is sometimes referred to as the 25 line version. But really, this is the shortest version. The Heart Sutra that we study is the shortest version of this body of sutras. And it is seen to be the distillation of all of those words poured into this very essence poetic text. So all the wisdom of the ages pouring into this text. The Heart Sutra is treated as what's called a Buddhavacana, meaning the word of the Buddha. But as I just explained, it was written hundreds of years after the Buddha actually lived. And modern scholars have actually started to question the origins of the Heart Sutra. And the current theory is that this version of the Heart Sutra was actually not written in India, but it was written in China in about the 6th or 7th century. And then they back translated it into Sanskrit so that it would seem like it was part of the original and had come through the line. So that is the current thinking, which is kind of fascinating. So unlike many sutras, it may not be a direct Indian composition, but more like a cross-cultural creation, a fusion. So something else I read was there is a key figure in the offering of the Heart Sutra, and actually one of the reasons why it is such a central text to Mahayana Buddhism and actually many traditions. And that is the history of Xuanzang, who was a Chinese monk who lived in the 7th century. And he is famous because he traveled back to India to gather many of the texts, the original texts, and then brought them back to China. And he himself was a scholar and ultimately one of the most prolific and important translators from Sanskrit into Chinese. And he actually himself wrote a translation of the Heart Sutra. And it is said that his travels were incredibly perilous. And he was traveling through I have to read this, the Taklamakan Desert, which I want to look up where that is, but it is between China and India. And it was incredibly dangerous. And he chanted, it is said, the Heart Sutra nonstop as a dharani, as a spell to ward off evil and to keep him safe. His journey is considered a landmark of Chinese Buddhist history. And interestingly, he is famous enough that there is um, a romance novel about his life that was written in the 16th century, I guess that is quite popular in China. And there are now movies about his life. So he's quite an elevated figure. And I have to admit, I had never heard of him. And I had this question come up because I thought, wait a minute, didn't Bodhidharma bring the Dharma from India to China? So I looked it up, and Bodhidharma lived about 150 years before Xuanzang, and he has said he was born in India and then brought the teachings to China. But they said there's some irony there because he brought the essence of the teachings through practice. And so much of Zen is organized around this idea of no words. But then Xuanzang went and got the words and brought them back, brought all the sutras back. So he's very influential and is actually the reason why we are chanting the Heart Sutra today, was his travels and his efforts. So as I mentioned, we will be chanting a different version of the Heart Sutra each day on the retreat. We began that tonight by beginning to touch the sutra through the translation done by Joan Halifax and Kaz Tanahashi. One of my roles as Suzanne and I and Anne and the retreat committee were preparing was to put together the service guide. And the service guide is the version of the chants that the timekeeper has so that you know when to ring the bell. It's got all the little dots and squares and all of that there. And I put the same into the Heart Sutra handout. So I got a chance to add all the bells into all the versions of the Heart Sutra. And it was actually quite touching to start to feel into the different ways and the different understandings and sort of this conversation between the different translations and reflections. So there's a bell that goes after Prajna Paramita, the first time that it is said. And in Japanese, that's Haramita, or it's wisdom beyond wisdom. Or you'll see there's two versions of this that are reflections that Flint wrote. There's love beyond love, the insight that brings us to the other shore, transmitting the light that shines through infinity. And it just started to feel so alive, the way practice moves in and out through these different reflections or translations or understanding to bring alive to us. The Christian mystic Eckhart is said to say God is greater than God. And my sense is that that translation of Prajnaparamita, wisdom beyond wisdom, love beyond love, the insight that brings us to the other shore, transmitting the light that shines through infinity, is like that. It's just beyond our understanding. So I would like to end by maybe helping us touch the sutra kind of before bed, maybe letting it sink in just a little bit deeper through the grace of our teacher Flint. The last time we studied the Heart Sutra together was, I think you said
24.
2024. So a couple of years ago, Flint wrote a version of the Heart Sutra. I'm gonna read it to you actually. So you don't have to have it out, but it is, if you are interested in reading along, it is the version that is on page 7.
Actually, Kim, could I just correct a word you're using here? You're
Okay.
saying a version, and Flint is really clear
Yeah,
in saying that this is not a version or a translation. This is a reflection
yeah,
of the Heart Sutra. And one of the things that I read is that these kind of reflections started being written in the 8th century, these reflections on the Heart Sutra. So that Flint is just adding to these reflections through the centuries. He's adding to the continuation of these reflections. So
yeah. So what struck me about this version is his translation, or not translation, his reflection. Thank you. His words that he chose as he was reflecting on this wisdom beyond wisdom, this prajna paramita. And the words he wrote were transmitting the light that shines through infinity. And it struck me that the light of this teaching of the Heart Sutra, whether it's through the Buddha or through Xuanzang or through Flint, that the energy of it is infinite. It is still moving. It will always be moving. So I'm going to read this to you, and you can take it like a bedtime story. Just let it soak in. And then we're going to finish with a lullaby. We're going to play you a song. And then we will go to bed. So, all right, sit back, friends. The Sutra on the Heart of Realizing the Universal Energy of Wakefulness. Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion who helps all to awaken, lives in the deep energy stream of transmitting the light that shines through infinity, and can see that all the various streams of body, heart, and mind can be unburdened and freed from exile. O Shariputra, who listens to the teachings of the Buddha, form is not separate from boundlessness. Boundlessness is not separate from form. Every part of us contains the seed of boundlessness. Boundlessness contains all parts. Feelings, perceptions, inclinations, and discernment are also like this. O Shariputra, universal energy is the nature of all things. It neither arises nor perishes, neither stains nor purifies, neither increases nor decreases. Universal energy is not limited by form, nor by feelings, perceptions, inclinations, or discernment. It is not bound by the perceptions of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. It is completely free to experience sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and any object of mind. Universal energy freely flows within all the sensory realms and the realm of cognitions. Universal energy is free of ignorance and goes well beyond ignorance. Universal energy is untouched by old age and death, and being boundless, it remains free even if old age and death were to end. Universal energy remains free within all suffering, free in the arising, in the cessation, and all along the path. And this light liberates us from all of our small ideas about wisdom and attainment. Being free of any concept of attainment, those who help all to awaken abide in the light of universal energy and live with an unhindered heart and mind. Unburdened, the heart and mind are not caught, even in the presence of fear. Free from confusion, those who lead others to abide in the light of universal energy embody profound peace and possibility. All those in the past, present, and future who realize the light of universal energy manifest unsurpassable and thorough wakefulness. Know that resting in the light of universal energy is no other than this wondrous possibility, luminous, unequaled, and supreme. This light can truly relieve suffering. This light can truly relieve suffering. It is genuine, not illusory, offering hope to all. So embody this path of realizing universal energy and return to this reminder, a mantra that says, breathe and go beyond, relax and go beyond. Release all grasping and embody the whole universe of boundless goodness. Wow, amazing. The Bex is getting our lullaby ready.
Things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 Yeah. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. Oh, light. Yeah. Oh, light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Good night, O nobly born ones. May your hearts be at ease and your mind be calm, and may you have a restful sleep.